Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Today we're outside of Chasers, gonna play in the 2-5, potentially the 5-10 if it runs. But we're back on the grind. It's been about a week or so since that live stream, and back-to-back days playing poker again. We've got 10K to build up back. Might take a few months playing 2-5. Who knows? But yeah, we're back. We're gonna hop into the 2-5. Let's get into some hands. Wish us some luck. Hopping to the 2-5 here at Chasers, 1K max buy-in, and we pick up King 6 of clubs on the big blind as our first hand dealt in. There's an under the gun player who opens to $15, cutoff makes the call, and with the suited king, $10 more, sure. Not the most standard call in the world, but we'll peel one and see a flop. Three ways the flop comes: 6, 4, deuce, 2 hearts, and a club. And here, given that this board texture we have top pair, definitely hits my really wide range here more often than not. So I certainly have some leads here, so I decided to lead out for $30. Now the undergun player raises to $80, the cutoff folds, and onto me. Out of position, we have a decent price to continue calling. We can certainly hit 2 pair, we can certainly hit runner clubs, and putting him on some sort of overpair holding, there are also many runouts to bluff on as well. So I decided to just make the call here with the plan to bluff on later streets. The turn comes the 7 of hearts. Not having any hearts in hand isn't great to start bluffing on hearts, but still sticking to the plan, this is a really good card to bluff on. So I decided to throw another bet of $90. A really weird line by us to bet call, then just lead out again on the turn, but for 90 we go, and he makes the call fairly quickly, so I'm definitely going to need to start pulling out on the river, I think. The river is now the king of diamonds, changing things a lot as we went from trying to bluff with our hand to somehow finding ourselves in a spot with 2 pair. Like I said, on the flop in turn, I put it on some sort of overpair holding, so maybe 9s plus. Trying to figure out a sizing now to bet for value and get called, since we did have original plans of pulling out and polarizing on the river, but now I decided to throw out $225 for value. This player thinks for a while and doesn't seem too confident with his hands. So with 2 pair, pretty sure we have the winner right now. And end of the day, he ends up making the call. I show my hand, expecting to be good a lot of the time, but somehow he shows us pocket 4s. They strike again with middle set on the flop, and they just can't lose. Nice hand to Jalen, who also watches the video, so extra special to have him win with pocket 4s, and it comes full circle. 1 hour later into the session, we're pretty card dead. We pick up pocket 10s on the big blind. There's a cutoff open to $15, small blind makes the call, and onto me. Easy spot to 3-bet, so I decided to size up to 70. Out of position here, $70 is a good enough price for both of them to make the call surprisingly, so still we're going 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes Jack 9-3 rainbow, and all things considered, it's an okay flop for us. I do block a lot of the draws as my hand contains a 10, so I'm really blocking a lot of king 10, queen 10, 10-8 holdings, but still I throw out a bet of $70, just 1/3 pot. The cutoff folds, and now onto the small blind player who has $378 in his stack and decides to play for all of it. He rips it all in, and not loving this spot. I really can't even think of a hand that I beat here in this situation. Like I said, I block all of these straight draws essentially, so I don't really see him going crazy with a hand like ace 9 or 2 overcards like king queen with a gutter. So after thinking things over, pocket 10s is just in a pretty awful spot, so not sure what to do, but I guess letting it go and waiting for a better spot is what we'll do. I just make the folds, and we are chipping down first 2 hands of the session. In this next hand, we've got ace 4 of clubs on the big blind. Player to my left, under the gun, opens it up to $15. Action folds around to me, and typically this is a really good 3-bet candidate, but I think from my perspective, this player seems pretty tight, so I decided to just make the call for 10 more. Going to a flop, which comes 10-4 deuce rainbow, so with middle pair, it's okay. I decide to check, and he checks it back. The turn is now the ace of spades, so now improving to 2 pair. Really loving this, as I am going to be checking this, as he should be betting on this turn so often here. So I check, expecting him to bet as a bluff or value on the turned ace, and he does oblige with a bet of $25, and facing this $25 bet, easy spot to check raise, so I size up to $100 out of position, and this player makes the call pretty quickly. So seems like he likes his hand. We'll see a river. The river is an awful looking card. It's a 10, so counterfeits our 2 pair. Our kicker doesn't even play anymore, and our hand strength has reverted to something very, very bad. So given this awful river, I decided to just check, but nice enough that he snap checks it back, and I show my pair of aces and pair of 10s, and somehow we take it down. So seems like he was on some sort of spade draw that missed out, so still nice to win this pot. Following that, we pick up the premium pocket 4s on the button. When there's a cutoff player who opened limps, I'm certainly going to raise this up with a premium. I size to $25. We get the big blind to call, and the cutoff limper folds. So in position, the flop comes queen, 10, 7, 2 clubs. He checks to me, and although we have an underpair, it's not a great flop for our specific hand. Still, I think we can c-bet this one and take a stab. I throw out a bet of $20, and this player makes the call. So not going as planned so far. The turn is now the jack of clubs, so board super connected, 3 to the flush, and I guess having the 4 of clubs is good, but really not ideal and doesn't really matter too much. So when he checks it, I'm happily going to check it back. The river is now the 5 of diamonds, and this player leads out for $50. I don't think I can do much here with pocket 4s still an underpair to the board. It would be a pretty crazy and ambitious hero call in our situation, so I'm gonna have to let this one go and show the pocket 4s. It's really weird to see them lose sometimes. Next situation, we pick up queen 10 of spades in +1. Action folds to me, and I raise things up to $20. We get the small blind and big blind to call. 3 ways in position. The flop is ace, queen, deuce, rainbow. On this board texture, it's like okay, I guess, with middle pair. Multi-way, I feel like someone just could certainly have an ace a lot of the time, but still, when it checks to me, I think this game is all about going for thin value, so I bet really small, just $20, and we get one of the 2 players in the small blind to make the call. Here, he is a solid reg at this spot, so gonna be more cautious. The turn is a 7. He checks to me, and not much of a decision here with middle pair and not a great kicker. I just check this back. The river is now a 5, and for a 3rd time, he checks to me. How often do I think I'm good here to bet for value? How thin is this value bet if I were to make it? I'm thinking things over, but ultimately, I think it's just a little too thin with how weak our 10 kicker is. So I decided to just check it back, take it to showdown, and good thing we didn't bet because this player shows us ace-jack. So unfortunate to be losing most of my hands so far tonight. This next one is a fun one with 4-5 of diamonds on the big blind. There's a button player who opens it up to $20. Small blind folds, and here I don't really like flatting too much out of the big blind, so really want to 3-bet more often than calling. So with a suited connector, that's what I do. I 3-bet to $80 out of position. The button decides on a call who covers my stack, so we're playing about $1,100 total. Going to a flop, which is ace, 9, 8, 2 hearts. We have flopped absolutely nothing with 5 high. Still, we can't take this down by checking it or giving up, so I throw out a bet of $65, and this player now goes deep into the tank facing my bet for at least a minute here. So given the timing, it seems like he doesn't have too strong of a holding. If you're going to be tanking for this long on the flop, you can't be holding too much unless he raises. So not sure what's going on, but ultimately he decides that 65 is good enough for a call. We'll proceed to a turn. The turn is now the 3 of diamonds, so always nice that when you bet with 5 high on the flop, you at least turn a gutter ball as well. So with a little bit of equity, time to fire out again. I bet out $225, and if I get called, I'm definitely going to have to just plan on barreling and ripping it all in on the river. But luckily, he folds fairly quickly. No need to sweat out this bluff. We take this one down. This next one, we love these smaller suited connectors. With 3-4 of spades on the button, action folds to me. I raise it up to $20, and we get some callers, the small blind and big blind. So 3 ways in position. The flop comes king, 10, 8, 2 diamond, and 1 spade. Action checks to me, and it's a little bit different from last hand. I decided to just check this one back with 4 high and literally nothing. We'll see a free turn. The turn is the jack of spades, and once again, action checks to me. Now we've improved to a 4 high flush draw, so I'm definitely going to take a stab at this, hoping to take it down right now. I throw out a bet of $35, and to our surprise, both players actually make the call. So we're off to a river here. We need to see a spade, please. The river is the 8 of spades. Lovely, lovely, lovely to go runner, runner, flush. So once again, for the third time, action checks to me, and we're gonna have to size up here with a very disguised spade. I throw it a bet of $150 close to the size of the pot, and the small blind actually makes the call really quickly. I assume that we're good here and we're gonna get paid. The big blind folds and I show my flush. We take this one down as the small blind has ace-8 offsuit, so always nice to cooler him just a little bit on the river and win some chips.
You go, sir. Check.
Next interesting spot we get involved in with Jack-10 of hearts on the small blind. Action folds to me, so we're playing blind versus blind now in this situation. I decide to raise it up to $20. Now the big blind to my left, he 3-bets to 60. Like I said, the player to my left seems to be a very tight player, and this is the first time I've seen him 3-bet all night. Regardless though, we have a very playable hand, and it's a good one given that we're playing blind versus blind. So I make the call for 40 more, and we're off to a flop. The flop comes Jack 5, 6, 2 hearts. Flopping the world is always nice, and I decided to check in this instance. He throws out a bet of $80, and this player has like $600-ish behind. Now we're definitely never folding, obviously, with the world, and it's a decision to either raise and try to commit stacks, or just make the call given we have so much equity. I think the issue with raising here is that I'm never technically ahead if he wants to commit his whole stack on this flop. I feel like I'm purely flipping against pocket queens or higher overpairs, and if I make the call, I can certainly get some hands like ace-king to continue barreling or any bluffs that he has in range. But I'm in the mood to gamble, we're out of position, and we're purely flipping against any overpair too, so whatever. Let's go for it, jack up the variance. I put in a raise to $350. Really want to get stacks in there, but sadly, this big blind player looks at his cards in a disappointed fashion and sadly makes the fold. So we'll still take down this pot, even though this was a dream flop for us. We would have loved to get more money in there. The last hand of note, it's a fun one with pocket jacks on the cutoff. Player to my right limps. He's been very limp happy so far this session, and I decided to raise it up to $25, hoping to isolate. The limper makes the call as expected. The flop comes 7, 5, 3, 2 spades. Like I said, he's been limping a bunch, and I'm not really sure what he's limping with. So when he checks to me on this board texture with no jack in my hand, I decide to just check this back, mixing some stronger hand into my checking range and some overpairs in here. The turn is now the 9 of spades. This player throws out a bet of $35. Certainly can think about raising sometimes, but given how I've played it, we're going to just make the call here with one pair, and we're going to see a river. The river is now the queen of hearts, and now he takes another weird line and checks. I guess I'm just trying to target a 9x holdings as the only hands I can get value from, so I throw out a bet of $40, and this player thinks for a while, and ultimately ends up making the fold, but it's surprising to see what he actually folded. He folded pocket eights face up. Didn't really know that he'd be limping such strong hands as well. I guess in hindsight and results wise, I misplayed this one and missed out on a lot of value on the flop and turn and maybe even the river as well. But yeah, I guess I just had no idea he was limping stronger hands like pocket eights.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Sweet, thank you. Profit is profit also profit. We were in the game for $1,700, out of the game for $1,710. So not the most ideal start to the session, I would say, but we played for about like 2.5, 3 hours, short session here. We're actually gonna go and play another session, making a tour of New Hampshire. In the next video, we'll be going to Boston Billiard. There's a chance I might mix in a PLO session. I'm on the PLO list, so we'll see what happens. Also, just realize every step I take, I'm like shaking the camera, so hopefully it's not horrible for you guys. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, we made a profit of an hourly of less than $5 an hour, but we were able to crawl back at least. Game was fun, always having a good time at Chase. There's always like pretty good action here, so and always nice to have another spot that we can record at. So I finally kind of have permission here, so that works out. Anyways, hopefully enjoyed this video. Played a quick one, got into some spots, and we're slowly chipping away back to zero from that 10K punt. So hopefully enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. It should be a fun one. Maybe we'll play some PLO. That's a good way to skyrocket this chart back from the depths of hell back to back to the earth. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you made it this far. It really helps support the channel grow, and peace.